We're live. Let's see. There we go. All right. So, welcome back to my stream. This is a roguelike tutorial in Rust that I've been going through. We're up to chapter 23, as you can see from the title bar here. And if I can get this to stick, we've started the map generation stuff, and we spent the last stream trying to figure out how to refactor the project so that we could have separate. Let's take a look here. Oops. I don't know why that happened. Make that 100. There we go. Yep. So if I say -lr source, there we go. So we now have a map builders subdirectory, a tutorial subdirectory. So that got changed as of the last stream. That used to be a lib, and then we created this lib to contain all of our source lib to contain the items that are necessary, the directories that are necessary, so that they can reference each other. So that way things inside tutorial can reference map builders and vice versa. And that seems to all be working, and we spent, that part of the stream doing that, and part of the stream refactoring the map code so that we could make a generic map building subsystem. We now have this map builder trait that we can implement to create different kinds of maps. Right, so I think this is where we were going. Right, this is what we're up to. So why do maps still have rooms? Yeah, so everything we did didn't change the game itself. So the game still runs exactly the same as it did before. Creates rooms, spawns items, spawns monsters. But under the hood, everything's different. So we can actually mess around with different types of rooms. Or different types of maps, sorry. So the question is, why do maps still have rooms? Rooms don't actually do much in the game itself. They're an artifact of how we build a map. It's quite possible that later map builders won't actually care about rooms. So what are we going to do? We're going to try to move out that abstraction from the map and out of the spawner. So the first step in map.rs, we remove the rooms structure completely. So there are no more rooms in maps. Okay. Let's see if we can figure out how to do that. Map.rs. There we go. Wow. All right. So we have pub rooms, and now we no longer have pub rooms. Okay. Tiles width, height, reveal tiles, everything else is the same. Yeah. We also remove it from the new function, obviously, right? And take a look at your ID, and you'll notice that you've only got broken code in simple map.rs. We weren't using the rooms anywhere else, which is a pretty big clue that they don't belong in a map or passing around throughout the main program. Okay, I did make a change here. So this will blow up too, because I grabbed the first room out of the map and spawned goodies. So I guess maybe it's time to just pull this code out as well. That's unfortunate, because that was helpful for debugging when we added new items. And that's in tutorial spawner. Spawn goodies. Yep, there it is. So this comes out, right? And I think maybe random item. This guy here. I'll have to check to see if that's used anywhere. Random item. No, it isn't used anywhere. Okay, so this comes out as well. All right. So this should still, I should use my cargo check. This should still work. Nope. Yeah. The only broken code is in here. Okay. So we can fix simple map by putting rooms into the builder rather than the map. And we'll put that into the structure. So in simple map builder, the room will go here. Right? And again, we don't have the depth here because map has the depth. So maybe that's a refactoring they're going to do somewhere else. Yeah, we're passing the new depth there. I prefer to keep it in only one spot, right? So let's do that. Rooms back new, like that. And then what? Spawn function becomes this. So self rooms instead of self map rooms. Like that. And we place every instance of map rooms with self rooms in rooms and corridors. Okay. So map.rooms changes to, oops, self rooms iter. Okay. Cargo check. And we're clean. Good. Once again, Cargo run the project and nothing should have changed. I gotta love refactoring. It would be great if we had, like, you know, Rust has some fantastic testing infrastructure was the word I was looking for there. And it would be great if we could just run a bunch of tests to make sure nothing broke. I'm just looking to see if things are spawning. Oh, the bear trap spawned. We get monsters, we get items. No, there's another trap. It just hurt me. I'm just looking to see if there's any items anywhere, please. Getting plenty of traps. Okay, so I managed to find a scroll of magic mapping. Okay. So things are spawning. That's good. So what did we do? Oh, yes, we refactored them. Oh, yeah, we're done with this chapter now. Okay. I could have finished that yesterday. Clippy is happy. I hope. And what changes did we just do? We pulled room out of map and put it in the simple map builder. And then we just modified the code to get it to compile. We pulled out our cheat stuff that gives us some goodies at the beginning of the game. Although, yeah, I was going to do it so that we just added them to the player's backpack instead of spawning them in the room. But if we need to, we'll do that later. So git add source, git commit, and refactor rooms list out of map and into the builder. Git push. Okay. And just double check over here. It's showing up. There it is. Okay. So we finished the refactoring chapter. Let's start looking at cleaning up map creation. Oh, okay. So we're doing more refactoring. So as we're diving into generating new and interesting maps, it would be helpful to provide a way to see what the algorithms are doing. This chapter will build a test harness to accomplish this and extend the simple map builder from the previous chapter to support it. This is going to be a relatively large task and we'll learn some new techniques along the way. Test harness sounds good to me. So in main, we essentially have the same code 3 times. When the program starts, we insert a map into the world. When we change a level or finish the game, we do the same. The last two have different semantics, but it's basically redundant repetition. Okay, that was cute. We'll start by changing the first one to insert placeholder values rather than the actual values we intend to use. This way the world has slots for the data. It just isn't all that useful yet. Here's a version with the old code commented out. So we did refactor so change the level and finish the game. We refactored those to do the same thing, right? So state, yeah. In game state, I'm going all the way down. It's called level cleanup. And level cleanup, right, we refactor that to change, if we're doing everything here, that means that we are finished the game. We finished the game, so we want to create a new game, which means we want to remove all entities on game over. And if we're not doing everything, that means we're just changing level, and we only want to remove the entities that aren't in the backpack or equipped by the player. So we did that refactoring. So we're going to have to figure out what they're doing here and make sure that we do the same kind of thing. All right, so this is what they're doing now, is they're just inserting a map at depth 1, a 0, point for the position, and the random number generator. And they're deleting all this code that creates the map. So instead of building the map, we put a placeholder into the world. It's not entirely coincidentally, that function is the same as the other two places from which we currently update the map. Okay. So this is generate world map. So this is basically this code here, starting with this, right? Build a new map and place the player. This is generate world map. Right? And we're calling it with, now we can get rid of the comment out code and simplify our first call quite a bit. Okay, so they're doing a bunch of inserts. We didn't do the Rex chapter, and then calling generate world map with depth of 1. Okay, and they're doing it on GS in the implementation of state. So let's see where that is. Yeah, so this is an implementation of state. That's fine. What we want to do is be able to pass in the new, instead of pulling the map depth out of here, we'll just pass it in. Oops. Right? So how do we want to work this? Let's say there's the map builder right here. Random builders, build a map. We get the player's start. We spawn the entities. This is all the same, right? The only thing is that we want, this one needs to be able to create a brand new entity if the game is over. And this wants to grab the entity so that it could set the position. So I think what it's doing is it needs to it needs to have created the player already, right? So let's just create this function and just copy paste all that code, and then we can delete what we don't need. Right, this is level cleanup, so we're just going to create this generate world map. Right, and then we'll just copy paste. Let's see, so we have the map builder, right? So these lines here, build the map, grab this and get the player start and set that, right? Let builder player start equal this, right? Spawn the bad guys. Right? Then what are we going to do? Just copy the rest of it? Because it's pretty much the same, except for creating the player. We don't want to create the player. We just want to create the player's position. Right? And we're going to assume that the player already exists at this point. Right? So these lines here come down. And so that's those. And then we have these lines here, right? Player X, player Y, and we set up the view shed, and that's it, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to clean up a bunch of stuff, I guess, as we go through this, right? So I think this is in main, what they're talking about here. We're inserting map new, right? Because that's what's here. No, oh boy. Where's blocks? Block and report. Submit report. Okay. Blocked. And then I can delete this, right? There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Spammers in the chat. So what we can do is go to main, right? This is going to complain that we have an unused function. Oh, world map resource. Because I didn't grab a world map resource. And we don't need to do a get map anymore, right? So that line goes away. Oh no, it's right there. World map resource is right here. Oh, because we're grabbing it as a write resource. Okay, let me, like that. Oops. There. Right? Still didn't like it. Player entity doesn't exist. We need to give it a star player entity. And we have to fetch it, right? Okay. So let player entity equal that, right? Well, we're down to 2 errors. Missing semicolon. And this has to have a star as well. One more error. Oh, this has to be mutable. Okay. Okay, so we're back to building, but we have 2 warnings, and I think it's because the generate world map is not used anywhere. So let us go over to main, and we're going to change all of these things here. Right, so there was simple marker allocator, and then insert map, insert point, insert RLTK. Thanks for the follow, Kronborg. Kronborg 10. Yep, Borg. Okay. I don't know why I said Berg. Sorry about that. So we got the map, the point, the RNG, right, which is right here. GSECS insert map new with a depth of 1. GSECS insert point new at 0, 0. So this is the current map. The point is the player's location. That's the random number generator. We're going to create a player entity right here. I'm going to put a little blank line in there and then insert it. Happy Friday to you. Thanks, Kronborg. Sorry. Maybe if I just say Kron, that might be easier. And then we're going to insert the run state, which is right down here. right? So that's the main menu. We're going to create a game log, which is these 3 lines here, right? Particle system, which is not here. Why is it inserting a particle system as a resource? Where does that get? Does that get inserted somewhere else? Do I do it? I do. Oh, it is in me. I just missed it. My eyes glossed over it. Line 75. Oh, not on line 75 anymore. Particle build. There it is. Okay. So there's the particle builder. And then Rex assets we're not doing. And then we're going to call GS generate world map 1. Oop. I don't know why I did that. So we don't need the builder. We don't need the player lock starting position. That's the player entity. We don't need to build the map. We don't need to spawn the entities. And we've already inserting the map. Okay. So this, I believe, translates to this. Does this build? No. Oh, okay. We're just changing this to 0, 0. And we have 1 error. Private associated function, right? Because I did not put pub. Makes sense. And we still have 2 warnings. So let's see what the warnings are. Hi, VM user. Thanks for dropping by. Oh, we're not using that. Okay, good. So we can pull that line out. Right there. How do you display the number of warnings and errors below? Yeah, it is really useful. I'm hitting Control D because I have a hotkey set up. So what I did, I cheated and I copied somebody else's config. Let me pull that up. Toggle, byte, and vim. And I set it up on my stream a few days ago. So if you I don't know if you want to check out my stream, or it might be up on YouTube by now. I don't know. But if you clone this into, if you go to your home directory and go to config, and then git clone this repo into here, it'll create a it'll pull in all of the things. Actually, there's one thing that's missing from it, but I figured it out eventually. And then you just run and set up -- init. And it'll pull all these things in. It'll link in all the things you need for Vim, NeoVim actually, and then you get all sorts of handy dandy. Let's see, Vim. I think it's after FTP Rust. Yeah. So all I'm doing is when I hit Control D, I run :wa to save everything and then compile. And there's some magic that's going on under the hood to allow it to pull up a nice compilation window. So if I put in a syntax error, right, and I hit Control D, it'll tell me there's an error. It'll tell me what the error is, and it usually jumps the cursor to where the error ended up, which is nice. Oh, we don't need that line either. So let me just, rather than you having to look at the screen there, let me just paste it into chat, and then there we go. I've been playing around with it a little bit. I've had to tweak it here and there to fit my style, but it's a pretty good setup. All right. What did we do? So we did this. We can now generate a new world map. Everything should still run exactly the way it did before, right? Yeah. So in my day job, I have a few monitors and bigger screens and stuff like that, and I would be doing that with tmux, right, in one window, and then see the compilations and do editing in another window. I actually have a 4K monitor that I've got set up to have like 300 rows in my window, so I can see a lot of code at once. When I'm streaming, though, you have limited desk space, and I'm not smart enough to figure out how to use OBS to flip back and forth between views. And if I use tmux, then we wouldn't see the code and the errors at the same time. So this is kind of handy for streaming too. All right, so if I just built it, let's see if we can refresh, and it's still building a map. So everything's, this is the initial map that gets built. So that all is still working. I guess the next thing, yeah, so go to next level would be the next thing to refactor. And, no, I don't have it. nvim source tutorial game state. Yep. Okay, so go to next level. It just calls level cleanup, and that's what we're going to change here. Yeah, so we're going to do this same thing here. And instead of doing, right. So we're going to grab the current depth and then generate a world map. Okay. So this is where we start deleting a lot of code that we just copied down. So let current depth equal world map resource self ECS fetch map, and then just current world map resource depth, right? And then self generate world map current depth +1. Except if we're doing a game over, right? And that's where we did this if everything thing. So we're going to add that as well. If everything, then we're going to set the current depth to 1, else that. So that should be all of that. You don't need to spawn entities. And this says notify the player and give them some health. So, oh yeah, and this is game over cleanup. So we're going to have to spawn a new player. So if we're doing everything, then we're going to, and that's the same thing here, right? If player entity, if we're setting the player entity to self ECS fetch, or we're going to set it to these lines here, right? Player entity writer, and then we return the player entity and return the player entity. Okay, so this is doing exactly what we need. And then, do we need those? What are we doing here? That's the game log you descend. We're changing the combat stats. And then this just says generate world map 1. So we're going to generate a new world map, current depth +1, right, or 1, either way. This one here, though, if we're going down to the next level, then we say something. Okay. And we restore a little bit of the player's health. Right? So that's that. Okay. So we can do that here. So we don't need the viewshed stuff, and we don't need the player position because that's handled down there. And so now we've got the game log, and now we can say if we've got everything, if we're doing everything, then we want to create a new player, which is this code here. And if we're not, then we grab the old player and, okay. Can we do this here? Does that make sense? Oh, well, let's just do it here because we're already checking for everything there, and we have the player entity at that point. Okay, I think this is right. Does it compile? It does not. All right, so we're not going player start X, player start Y. Oh wait, this, yeah, so this is generate, and then we don't need to place the player anymore. Except we need to spawn. Oh, we spawn them at 0, 0. Okay, them. We spawn them at 0, 0. And I'll allow the map to set the player's location. Okay, wow. Okay, that worked. And so let's see, does cargo run? Or build, actually. And refresh. We can begin a new game. Now the question is, can we... I miss my ability to generate items on refresh. I'm looking for the stairs down to make sure that going down to the next level works. And there we go, and it works. Okay, good. So basically the code is very refactored, but the game is very the same. Let's check in with Clippy, and then we can push this up to GitHub. Yeah, so we deleted unused stuff. This got refactored from the... Okay, and this is our new code. Oh, yeah, this is all the code we changed. Oh, yeah. Wow, okay. That's too much to review. And source, git commit, refactor, game over, and level change. Game over, game start, and level change. Good. And that should be up here. Okay. So now we're going to make a generator. It's surprisingly difficult to find two paradigms sometimes. The graphical tincture of RLTK encourages you to do everything fast in one fell swoop. Actually, visualizing progress while you generate a map encourages you to run lots of phases as a state machine, yielding map results along the way. My first thought was to use coroutines. They are ideal for this type of thing. You can write code in a function that runs synchronously and yields values as the computation continues. It required nightly support, unstable, unfinished Rust, and didn't play nicely with WebAssembly, so I scrapped it. Okay. Traditional root maps can take a snapshot while they generate, and that big pile of snapshots can be played frame by frame in the visualizer. Oh, this might be cool to see. Isn't quite as nice as a coroutine, but it works and is stable. We should make sure that visualizing map generation is entirely optional. When you ship your game to players, you probably don't want to show them the whole map while they get started. But while you're working on map, it's very valuable. So we're going to have a constant to say whether or not... Right, so we're going to set it to true during development, and then we just have to, quote, remember to change it to false when it is, when the game is shipped. The only issue I'm stumbling over, the reason I'm hesitating, is that Rust is probably going to see that this is always true and start complaining about if statements that are not useful. Right, because this code is always going to get executed. So, well, let's just see. Before I get ahead of myself, let's just see. So we're putting this in main. We're going to say const. So there's also conditional compilation, right? You can use Rust has this feature called features where you can basically say compile with this feature or not. And that might be a better way to go. But let's try it with this, and then if we don't like it, we can refactor it to a feature. All right, and then in map builders, mod.rs, there we go. We're going to extend map builder to get snapshot history. Okay. Or you can use an environment variable. Yes, yes, exactly. That's not a bad idea too. And that way the code is built in, it's just that, and you don't have to recompile it for debug versus release. Shot, mute self. And it returns nothing. Okay. Disabling the lint. Yeah, I hate doing that though. It just makes me feel squeamish. But yes, because it disables the lint for everything, or you have to put it in front of every time you use the variable, right? So we've got get snapshot entry and take snapshot, right? One major difference between Rust and C++, Rust traits do not support adding variables to this trait signature, right? So we can't put what they're saying. We can't say pub history vec map here, right? All we can do is say what functions the trait has. You can add types to traits, but it's not; those aren't variables. Those are just the type that it's using. All right, so inside simple map, if I compile this now, it should throw up a bunch of errors because simple map builder does not implement what it needs to. And it also conveniently takes me right to that code. So we're cloning out the vec. Okay. We're doing that everywhere. See, map clone, position clone for all the getters. There's got to be a better way, right? I don't know enough Rust to know the right clone. The right idiom for getting information that's not copyable. But there should be a way to do that. I don't know if you have to use reference counting or boxes or stuff like that. Maybe this tutorial will get there eventually. Nope, it doesn't return anything. So here, show map gen. That's not easy to type when you're holding down the shift key. Snapshot, self map clone. And then for v in snapshot revealed tiles, iter mute. V is true. And then self history push. Oops. Push snapshot. All right, so we're taking, this is memory intensive, right? We're taking a bunch of clones of the map, revealing all the tiles and throwing that in a history. And depending on how often you take a snapshot, this could consume a lot of memory. Yep, so now we have to take snapshot every so often. So every time we push a room, we'll take a snapshot. Rooms push. Self take snapshot. Boom. Okay. And then we're going to render it, and we're going to use a game state for that. I would have thought, okay, there we go, map generation. So if I build this, does this compile? No, we have 3 errors. Oh, yeah, so we need to pull this in somehow, right? So we can't just reference it. We're in a library. Can I just say this? Or do I have to put that in lib? Yeah, it doesn't exist there. Do I have to put it here? Because it's in main. Do I have to say pubconst? Nope, that didn't do it. Did I miss something up here where we created it? So towards the top of main. Okay. So where would that end up? Because they're not saying it here how to link it into the library. Let's take a look at Rust pub main export. I don't know what to search for. Pub and path, pub crate, pub super, and pub self. This might be a crate thing. Did they write it in bin plus lib way or bin only? I'm not sure what you mean. In the tutorial, they just said put this at the top of main. Right? Towards the top of main, we had a constant. And then then it just goes on and says, okay, we're going to use it. Right? I don't see anywhere here where it says how to access it. I don't know if this makes any sense. What I just typed in, if that line is even a legal line. We now have 4 errors. Yeah. There's no show map gen visualizer in the root. Did I typo it? That's always possible, right? No, that's it. And then there's no field history. Did I miss something on? Oh, because it's not building. We haven't built it yet. Okay. So I'm not sure how to get access to that then. If you build modules on bin, it's different path from an external lib. Yeah, okay, so I can show you the cargo, right? Toml. We just have this bin defined and saying what the source is. And then inside lib, we just pull in the 2 submodules. And so that line doesn't make sense. And I don't think I can put a const here. Maybe I can. Maybe that'll do the trick. They do it in the book like that also. Yeah, so the yesterday's stream was about refactoring the map builders into its own submodule. And then we had to play around a lot with figuring out how to get it to compile. But in the book, they don't have a tutorial subdirectory. They have all the other files in under source. Let's see if this does anything. Nope. Oh, we do need to add history, but that's not what the problem is, right? Yeah. And simple map builder is missing history. Okay. All right. Well, to get around it for now, I'm just going to put it here. They did not use lib.rs. That was something I added because I was trying all sorts of different things. And after I did that, it worked. I can try removing that and we can take a look at what the errors are. Then you can't use main.rs for the const. Yeah, but if I put it in lib.rs, it didn't work either, right? Yeah, I put it here. Okay, well, that's good to know, Sam. Thank you. If there's a lib, then it won't work in main. But you'd think that it would work here. You should be able to use it from lib. Okay. Oh, okay. That if it's that simple, then let's do that. Map, simple map. Simple map. There we go. I was putting it under super and it's supposed to be under crate. Okay. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Sam. Thanks very much. I appreciate the help. Okay, so that worked, and now we need to render the visualizer, right? So in game state right there, we have magic map reveal, and then we have map generation. Map generation. There we go. Visualization actually requires a few variables, but I ran into a problem. One of the variables really should be the next state to which we transition after visualizing. We might be building a new map from one of the three sources, and they have different states following the generation. Unfortunately, you can't put a second run state into the first run because of cycle errors. You can box it, but it doesn't work with run state deriving copy. Okay. So what we're going to do is add to state. Okay. We're adding 4 variables to state. Opgen next state. Option run state. Mapgen history back map. Mapgen index use size and mapgen timer F32. Okay. So where should the game state go next? There's a copy of the map history frames to play. But that's going to come out of the okay. Well, we'll see how they do it, but I would have thought that having it inside the map builder code should be sufficient. It looks like we're just copying it over here. The index is how far we are through the history, and the timer is what frame to go for next. All right, and then when we create the state, where do we create the state? I don't know where we create state. We got two spammers in the same stream. That's unusual. There we go. And now I can't X out of that. There we go. Okay. Where are we? So right. So somewhere we're going to create a new state. So we should look for world new, and that's not in here. It's in main, of course. Right here. Okay, let's separate that out, and then we're going to add our new map gen next state is an option. Main menu selection, new game. like that, and a comma. Oh, that's what that was. So that's this here. Come on. There we go. So that needs a comma. And then we're going to set the index, history, and timer. And all right. Oh, S-I-Z-E, like that. And now we're not handling that run state. Okay, so we will do that now. So we implement that in our renderer. Oh, see, now it's pulling that out of the lib. That should be fine, right? So this is where we draw the main menu, or we draw the game over screen. Or we're going to do draw map for everything else. So if we're not doing the map gen visualizer, then we just grab the next state and do everything. If we are doing the map generalizer, then we're in the map generation thing. So we're doing this every tick, even if the map gen visualizer isn't set. I'm trying to understand how this is going to work. Because we're doing the map gen index. Oh, okay. So this is only when we're doing map. Okay. So run state. Map generation. Show map gen. UALIZER, like that. New run state. Self map gen next state unwrap, and then we already cleared the screen, right? I think I do that, yeah, right at the top. Okay, so we don't need to do that again. And they're going to draw the map, self map gen history, self map gen index, and the context. And then we're going to increment the timer. Frame time milliseconds. Map gen timer is more than 300 milliseconds. Okay. Self map gen timer equals 0. Self map gen index gets incremented, and then if self map gen index is greater than or equal to the length of their history, then we're done. New run state. Self map gen next state unwrap, like that. Right? Okay, so this is just going to do this. The history, every 300 milliseconds, it'll change the frame. And then once we run out of history maps to history, I've got to spell it right up here, then we're going to switch to whatever the next run state is. In the case of the beginning of the game, it's new game, and then it'll probably be player turn when we go down a level, right? Draw map didn't used to take a map, and now we have to pass in a map. So we're going to pass in a reference to a map. And we no longer pass in ECS. We're going to pass in, and we're going to have to pull the map out of storage here. Okay, fetch map. Hi, Kenny. Which text editor is this? This is NeoVim. It's not it's not one of the fancy IDE things, and I have Rust Analyzer running in the background, but I have all the pop-up stuff disabled and code completion disabled because it gets in the way for me instead of being helpful. So I do have it so set up so that I can hit Control D and it'll compile and jump to errors. Right, so draw map needs to take a map now. So I think that's in GUI. Oh, it is not in GUI. Where is draw map? It is in map. Where else would it be? Here we go. So now instead of taking a world, we're going to actually take a map. And we're going to call it map. And we don't need to fetch it anymore. All right, does that work? It does not. Non-exhaustive pattern. Okay, so if we're in map generation, right? So I've split this out into two run state checks. The first run state check determines what to draw on the screen, and the second run state check determines what the player, what action should take place. And this is the first time we're actually just doing a no op. So let me put that at the bottom here. Run state map generation. This is the dangers of changing the code in the tutorial while you're doing stuff. Menu selection, cell action, like that. And mapgen index of struct r state. Oh, it's private. Okay. Let us fix that. What was that in? That was in game state. I need to make these all pubs. Yes. Okay. So now we should be able to see it slowly draw the map like this. Let's see if that works. This will be interesting to see. This will be the first visual change that we made since starting this whole refactoring journey. All right, refresh. Begin your game. Didn't see it. Does it only happen on level change? It says it should watch the simple map generator build your level before you start. Oh, I you know what? I didn't do this. Duh. Where is generate world map? Is that in game state? It is. Okay. There it is. Okay, so we're gonna, we have to set up all these things. Self map gen index is 0. Self map gen timer is 0.0. Map gen history clear. And then we have the builder here. We built the map. But we do want to set the state to be, we do want to set our initial state to be the map generation state, right? And here we're setting the next state to this. So we need to somewhere, and it's not in here, somewhere we need to actually set run state map generation. There we are. Okay. So that's just in main. Run state. Instead of main menu, it's just map generation. And we want to be able to do that on every level change too, right? Like that. Okay, let's build that. All right, and refresh. And I think it died. I think that's what this means. It died. So I'm going to come over here, since this is where we get a backtrace. Although I should be able to see a backtrace here, right? In the console. Yeah, okay, there's the backtrace. What are we panicking on? Index is out of band, len 0, but the index is 0. Okay, so I think we must be indexing into the history, right? Let's see what this says when this finishes building. But I think we must be indexing into the hell? Why was it trying to send me email? That's weird. I must have clicked on something that was an email link. All right, we're almost done. So close. Yeah, so I think what's happening is we are doing we're grabbing stuff from the history, but there's nothing in the history yet, is my guess. So maybe that we need to build a map, or ensure a map is built before we start to visualize it. Okay, so where are we? Panicking. Yeah, so it's the same one. Line 73 of game state. Game state. And line 73 is, yeah. Oh, right. So we're passed in an index of 0, but mapgen history is 0. So we're assuming that there's going to be one. All right, thanks for stopping by, Kron. Hope to see you again. All right, so what do we need to do to ensure that we've got a map, right? Because if mapgen history, there's got to be something that clones into mapgen history, right? Maybe I missed that line too. Because we create a vec new here, but where do we initialize that? Because we clear it here. And we don't, right here, right after we build the map. And what function was that in? Map? Come on. Nope, it's not in there. Oh, it's in game state, which is what I was just in. There. So after we build the map, we need to mapgen history get snapshot history. Right? And then, okay, let's build this. Right? Clear this thing. And refresh. Oh, look at that. Wow. Huh. And now if we go down a level, we should see the same thing, right? Or should we? Because I don't have any code anywhere that... I should be able to heal up that way. Okay. I'm just looking for the downstairs because I don't think we set... Oh, we do, right? Because in generate new map, do we set the run state in there? Or do we just set the run state in main? Where is the downstairs? Right there. Yeah, so it's not showing us that. So I must have missed yet another line where we set map generation state, insert run state. Oh, when we go down a level, right, that's when we need to set map generation. We change our initial state to map generation, and then we have the map generation here, but we need to save it on level change as well. Well, I mean, they're not saying that that's true, but we need to, maybe we'll do that on the next one. All right, so let's check this in. Make sure Clippy's happy. And then, so there's our constant in lib. There is the changes to state. We start with the map generation. Here's our snapshot code. This is initialization code, and then the map is now part of, this is displaying the map, right? Generating the world map, and then we don't do this anymore because we pass it in. Okay. Show map being built when starting a new game. All right. How's that for the maps? Good. So next is, what's the next chapter? Hello? Next chapter? BSP room dungeons. Popular method of map generation uses binary space partition to subdivide your map into rectangles of varying size and then link the resulting rooms together into corridors. Probably using corridors, right? You can go a long way with this method. NetHack uses it extensively. Dungeon Crawl on Stoop. Okay. So we can create, if we create a brand new dungeon type, map generation type, and we're going to call it BSP. All right. BSP Dungeon Builder. I have to go in about 20 minutes, so we'll see how far I can get. We have a depth, rooms, history, and rects. Okay. We've kept the rooms vector because this method uses the concept of rooms. We added a rex vector. Okay. And this is the trait. So we got to implement the trait. This is all going to be boilerplate code, right? From now on, whenever we add a new map, it's going to be this. Get snapshot history. Turns a vector of maps that we clone, self history clone. And then build map. We should do something here. Very good. Mute self. I'll put mute self, but this one's going to get a good warning. Do it. Okay, and then spawn entities. For room in self rooms iter. So this is the same thing, and then we're going to skip one again. Yeah, and then take snapshot, which doesn't show map gen. Is there? You know what? I'm going to just pull that from simple map. Why type that all in again? Right, because it's exactly the same. Right? Map clone, reveal tiles, intermute, B is true, good. Okay. And then, like that. So it's pretty much the same as simple map builder, but build map is going to be implemented. So we need a constructor. it's going to take a map, all these guys, right? So this will be map new depth, starting position x0, y0, that. Depth is new depth. Rooms is vec new. History is vec new, and rex is vec new. Okay. And then, oh, we're going to use random builder to randomly build until we have a second map type. This is even slightly random. Yeah, so we're always going to do BSP. Okay. And that is in mod.rs here. So we'll comment this guy out and then put in BSP. Oh, dungeon builder. Okay. And then this is the map creator. All right, this looks pretty straightforward. We should be able to do that. We'll do a quick check. And it's not there because we need to say, oh, really? For each one of these things, we need to do this? Maybe. So what was the name of that file? BSP dungeon. Okay. BSP dungeon and that, and this is, oops, BSP dungeon builder. Okay, so how does this all work? We grab a new random number generator. I guess we can't grab it from the resource. One of the things they talked about in the previous chapter was being able to store the random number generator as a resource in the ECS so that you can use a single seed to generate the same dungeon every time. And this violates that principle. But that would mean passing the ECS into the map builder. So, that would change the function signatures for build map, right? And all that kind of stuff. So maybe that's why he decided not to do it. We're still getting an error. Oh, no, I didn't hit Control D. There we go. Oh, spawner, we have to import that. Okay, pub, use super spawner. And now I have to go look. What did we do here? Oh, we didn't do anything. So, but we have a spawner in here. Yeah. Maybe it's just by doing this. Maybe that pulls it in. Yep. And now we have to add this. Can I just do that? Will that work? Nope. Oh, and then we have to get all these guys. Except we're not using tile type, map height, or map width. What? But I put it right there. Super map. Maybe I do need to put the map builders separately. I'll use create map builders star. Nope. Oh, that's the error. Thank you. Okay. That was silly. All right, so let's actually do the build now. So we can build the dungeon. Now that we have all that set up, we're going to call build from here, right? But let's do this first. Fn build itself. RNG is random number generator. It's RLTK, random number generator. New. And it would be great to be able to do the resource thing, but not yet. Self rects clear, self rects push, rect new, 2 self map width -5, self map height -5. So we hope that we have at least 5, right? Let first room self rects 0. Oh, there we go. Something got stuck. And then self add subrects first room. So that's something we need to add. Here's add subrects. Okay. So up to 240 times. Whatever. Let mute. Number of rooms equals 0. Let while n rooms is less than 240. Get random rect RNG. Oh, now we also have to write get random rect. Didn't we have that in somewhere else? Let candidate self get random subrect. Okay, so this is going to take a while to get this working, because I see a bunch of code we're writing here. Self is possible, then apply room to map, rooms push, self take snapshot, and that increases our attempts. Right? And then the starting position, self room 0 in the center. Start 0 and y is start 1. All right, so we're clearing the rect structure. We call add subrecs, which is down here. And we set up a room counter so we don't infinitely loop. And up to 240 times, we'll grab a random rectangle. We'll grab a random subrectangle. Random room from 3 to 10 tiles in size on each axis somewhere within the parent rectangle. Okay. We ask, is possible if the candidate can be drawn into the map. Every tile must be within the map boundaries and not already a room. And if it is, we add it. Okay. So it's quite a few support functions. Yes, there are. Let's see, we have add subrecs, self, rect, get rect, width, I32, x1 minus rect x2. And then we do the same thing for height, except using y's, right? And then half width and half height. But at least one. Right? And then we're going to push a bunch of rectangles. Oh boy. So it's doing these 4 rectangles, right? Starting at x1. Okay. You know what we can do is rect new, rect x1, rect y1, half width, and half height. And they're always half width and half height. It's just the starting position that changes. So we can do that and then modify these guys here. So this will be half height and this will be half height. And these last two will be half width. Okay. So it creates, from this single rectangle, it creates 4 sub-rectangles at the halfway point. And now we want to grab a random rect. right? And return a random rect. If self rects len is 1, then we return the first one. Otherwise, on self rects len as I32 minus 1 as usize. So we're going to grab a random rectangle from the list of rectangles and return that. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. And then we want to grab a random subrect, and that's a little more complicated. Same signature though. Right? And what we're going to do is, oh no, it's not the same signature. We're also we're passing in a rect. We're grabbing a subrect from that rect, right? So rect width and rect height, which we have up here. Oh, mute result. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then this is rect width and rect height, right? And then we grab a random width and height within that width and height and move things around a little bit. Okay. I32 max. Roll dice. 1 to I32 min. Rect width 10. So maximum of 10 for this guy. Oh, I put a 2. There. Plus 1. And the height is similar, except instead of width we say height. Right? And then result dot x1 plus equals RNG roll dice 1 to 6 minus 1. Result y1 roll dice 1 to 6 minus 1. And result x2 equals result x1 plus w. And result y2 is equal to result y1 plus h. And then we're going to return the result. Like that. So it takes a rectangle as a parameter and makes a mutable copy to use, and then produces a random width and height within that rectangle, but no less than 3 tiles in size and no more than 10 in each direction. All right, and then the is possible. And it just returns a bool. So we have an expanded rect, so we're going to expand it out by 2 in each direction. Can we do this instead? X1 is rect x1 minus 2, right? Y1 is rect y1 minus 2. X2 is rect x2 plus 2. And y2 is rect y2 plus 2. No, it doesn't fit all in one line. All right, we'll let cargo format that. I think that this does the same thing. Let mute can build is true. And then y1 expanded y2. And then for x, right? If x is bigger than the map width, is 2, can build is false. And then we do y for height. Is can build is false. Why don't we just return false? Why do we keep checking? All right, I'm not going to worry about it. X is less than 1. Can build is false. Because once we determine that we can't build there, there's no reason to keep checking things, right? if can build, let idx self map xy idx xy. If self map dot tiles idx is not equal to tile type wall, can build is false again. So then we're going to keep checking, and once it gets set to false, well, let's get it working first, and then we can clean it up. All right, and we do need to pull in tile type, right? Nowhere in here though does it talk about the physical width and height that's possible. Oh, we passed it in somewhere. We passed that in. Okay. All right. So let's see if this builds. It does not. Oh, yeah, I didn't. Okay. I didn't put any closing brackets on those. Oh, and we have to pull in RLTK, right? Do the same thing here. And this doesn't like it. Unknown field. And that's an is possible. Unknown field. Unfortunately, I'm out of time, so we're going to have to figure this out. I hate leaving it up in the air like this, but we'll come back on Monday. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. It looks like Tonklebit is online, so why don't we all go over to him. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will hopefully see you Monday. Take care.